In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to project hard MoonBoard problems. And I think the first thing that's really important to say, as with any hard projecting session in any sport, is you want to be really well warmed up. So generally, for me personally, I'd probably warm up off of a MoonBoard itself and do some general problems in a climbing gym. And the thing that I'm really wanting to make sure is that my fingers are properly well warmed up. As soon as I then start trying problems on the MoonBoard, I start really easy, pick the biggest holds I can and work my way up, making the holds a little bit smaller as I'm working out the grades. And I think the important thing for me is I'm not trying maximally at this point. It's really important for me to make sure that I'm only putting a little bit of effort in. As I say, just really trying to keep sort of in tune with my body until I know that my fingers and my body are warm enough to start trying harder problems. I think when I'm starting on easier boulder problems, I'm trying to climb them where my feet are staying on. As I say, if I feel like I'm trying too hard, then I'd always feel a little bit more at risk of injury. So as I say, I want to be making sure that I'm not trying maximally on easier problems. And a lot of the time as well, I try and hold positions. So I'll make a move and then I end up holding that position a little bit, sort of see how I feel and then sort of make another move. Potentially drop off in the middle if I'm feeling like I'm trying a little bit too hard. And again, it's just working that process until I'm feeling really warm. I think feeling warm is very subjective. It also probably depends on the day. If you're feeling quite tired going into a session, it always usually takes me a lot longer to feel warm. Whereas if I'm already feeling really good, I'm probably not doing that many problems before I'm ready to try really hard. So when having a limit boulder session, I probably wouldn't be doing this if I was already feeling quite tired before I started. So I probably want to make sure that I'm feeling really good and quite fresh before I'm trying maximally on a MoonBoard. When I'm looking to choose problems on a MoonBoard, generally on the app I filter by grade, try and make them benchmark and then also filter by most repeated. So I'm starting hopefully at the bottom of that grade where it's had the most repeats and generally working my way through those. I very much find, as I say, when I'm still in the warming up process, if I find a problem where I'm hitting a stopper move and I'm finding that really hard, I don't generally focus too much energy trying to make sure that I've done that even though it might be lower than the grade that I'm actually going to be projecting. So I think it's important not to get caught up so much in the grade. This is very much still the warm-up process and there's so much on the app that again you can flick through and you'll find something that's good to warm up in. So once I've finished the warming up process and I'm feeling ready to try maximally hard, I generally try and pick a MoonBoard problem that's challenging, potentially a weakness, or potentially not. It could just be that I want to try really hard moves. I think at the beginning, again, I'm probably not trying as hard as I possibly could be. I think I'm sort of dipping in there and trying to see how I feel on the moves, how I'm functioning on the moves. And then, yeah, I mean, generally pretty quickly and then trying absolutely maximally. Although it's often, I think trying hard is quite a skill. And it's sometimes you feel like you can't do a move and it's quite easy to get demotivated. And sometimes the key ingredient is that little bit extra try hard. Equally, again, if it's just something that is too hard, it's okay to walk away and not get too demotivated by that and just think that actually, no, I'm not particularly good at climbing. So yeah, finding the balance can be quite hard, I find, trying limit bouldering. And another important thing for me personally is reaching the top usually isn't the end goal, it's the whole process in between working the moves, and yeah, it's just trying maximally hard. If you know you're trying hard and you feel like you're making progress, I think you've probably got it right. So for a limit MoonBoard bouldering session, I think the important thing to remember is the objective is not necessarily to get to the top, but it's actually the process of working the moves. And definitely for me personally, I'm falling off 80%, if not more. So yeah, there's a lot of try hard and there's a lot of falling off there. And yeah, it's very much a process of working those individual moves, and then, you know, if you get a move, it's then trying to link it into the next. But as I say, I think there was a project that I had called Pogo. It's 7A, and I think I projected it for about a year, maybe longer. So yeah, it really can be just the process, and if you do manage to top your project, at a limit boulder, that's absolutely fantastic. It's the best feeling in the world. But yeah, generally it's just the whole process in between. Or one of the mistakes I generally see when people are limit bouldering is they don't rest enough, and I think that's really, really important. Some people like to use a timer, other people like to just rest until they feel really, really fresh. But yeah, making sure sometimes I think I rest between 5, even up to 10 minutes between moves. And the more moves you're doing, definitely the longer I'd recommend resting for. And I think you can usually tell if you've had a really good go and you get on too early, generally you're suddenly not going to be functioning on the moves and you're thinking, why can't I do that anymore? And a lot of the time it is, you're just tired and you haven't rested long enough. I think a limit bouldering session is very much subjective. Generally, it could be a much longer session than a normal general MoonBoard session because you're resting a lot longer between each try and each attempt. But I think the important thing is there's no hard and fast rule about limit bouldering sessions, and you've very much got to be in tune with your body. And if you're starting to feel really fatigued, call it a day. I think it's you could definitely pick up injuries because you're trying so hard maximally. So yeah, don't overdo it. So when you stop trying a particular problem, I think that's very much when you start regressing, when you start going downhill and you're no longer making any progress. Either move on to another problem or start trying something easier or just call it a day.